get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just for me, so gonna share it with another. I got to show, to give, let out. I want to sing and shout. Take a look and see a beautiful morning that turns into a beautiful evening, and together make a beautiful life. And if you wanna
I've been in here and people are roaring with laughter, so...
It's a dirty show, though.
Well, it's clean dirt.
Forgive me, but the best restaurants of the world are here in Vegas. I mean, you have here the best of the best.
Yes.
So we have many celebrities here. The Harley Madison come over here, and the Usher come over here many often, and the Paris Hilton come here, and Britney Spears came over here like 2 weeks ago.
Boy, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. Nobody else will. Oh.
That's so Vegas. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to That's So Vegas. I'm Christine McKellar, your host here at the fabulous WCOBM studio right off of the fantastic and fabulous Las Vegas Strip. And every time we think of Las Vegas, I think a lot of people, well, we think of strip shows and magic. And my guest today is Douglas Lefty Leferovich, and you, sir, are the master of all trades.
I try to be the master of some things, as much as I can.
You have such an interesting resume, and I first met you when I saw Murray's show, when he was first at the Tropicana.
Absolutely, at Tropicana.
The thing that struck me about you, and we're going to talk about it and even show a little clip at the end of this segment, you do this kind of mime segment in the show, and it's really poignant. And when I was watching that, just the way you conveyed what you were doing as the janitor who really secretly yearned to be a magician, you waited for Murray to leave the stage, and then you proceeded to do your gig. It was so touching. I wrote about you and not Murray.
Well, absolutely, and a lot of it is I did a lot of research on silent films, from Charlie Chaplin to Buster Keaton, Fatty Arbuckle, the Keystone Cops. And what I liked about Chaplin's character is he was sort of always the underdog. He had, as my dad would always say, he sort of had a bit of pathos. You kind of felt bad for him, and he kind of snubbed his nose at authority. Mm-hmm. So not going that extreme, I sort of get to kind of go against authority. So when Murray leaves the stage, he gives me the opportunity to sort of step into the spotlight and do something. And then when he comes back out, I kind of go, oh, sorry, I'm just cleaning up, and then I leave. So I think the balance works well, especially because Murray is very verbose and speaks a lot, does a lot of quick, witty humor.
Right.
Because my character doesn't say anything, I think people really have to pay attention more, because I'm almost taking away one of your senses. Because I'm not speaking, if you look away, you don't know what I'm doing. Even though there's music playing,
right, yeah.
I feel like people have a tendency to watch closer because I'm not speaking. And what also works is a lot of the foreign tourists from Asia, South America, that don't speak English well or don't speak English at all really enjoy my performance, because everything I do is visual.
Yeah, and you're really good at it.
Well,
I mean,
again,
even just your facial expressions, lifting an eyebrow, can convey like almost a slew of emotions, just all that's running across your face.
Well, I tell people the biggest compliment I can get after the show is someone says, I thought you were really funny. Or I really loved your character. My background is in magic, and I actually started doing magic when I was 4. So for me, I feel like the magic should be strong. The magic should be really good. The character is something I've had to develop over the years. So when someone makes a note of the character, or they say, you reminded me of Danny Kaye or Gomer Pyle, I really take that as a compliment, because they're complimenting something that I've had to work on, as opposed to the magic has been something I've done for so many years.
Right, you come from kind of a magical family background. Your dad and your brother, weren't you the 3 L's or something?
We were Magic by the 3 L's.
Magic
My
by the
dad
3 Ls.
was a very big lawyer in New York City. I guess being a lawyer is like doing magic, a little
stage,
doing a little deceit and trickery. But my mother, who's sort of the backbone of the group, said to my dad, you really have to pick an activity that you can do with your two sons that's your thing.
Oh, great.
So when my dad was younger, he was at a YMCA camp, and there was a counselor there that did magic. And he was always fascinated by magic. So I got into magic as something to do with my brother and father. And we didn't start really, the plan was never for me to do magic professionally. It was just something we did as a family thing. So
Nice.
it was my grandmother's birthday, we would do a 10-minute show. It was Christmas, and the relatives came over, aunts, uncles, cousins, we would do a 15-minute show. Eventually, one of our neighbors that had kids that were 2 years older than us heard we were doing a show, and they approached my mom and said, hey, would the boys and your husband like to come over and do a show? And we were like, I guess we're ready to do a show. And that's sort of how it evolved.
Interesting.
Yes.
So did the character Lefty, was that something that you went to Murray with? Or I know you and Murray are real good friends and best of friends, but did you bring that character to him, or did he work it into the show? I always wondered about that.
Before I met Murray, I was part of another magic group called the Gamesters.
Yeah.
And it was sort of straight guy, funny guy. We wore bright color suits. And it was very reminiscent of the new Dick Tracy with Warren Beatty with the bright colors.
Right.
So I had a bright red
remember that.
zoot suit with a fedora. I mean,
Right.
with a derby. My old business partner had a blue zoot suit with a fedora, goatee. He was sort of the more villainous character, and my character was a little bit more goofy. It wasn't as evolved as it is today. Then when I met Murray, we became good friends, and then I actually moved out to Vegas, coincidentally, 2 weeks before he did. And he had a show at the Frontier when he first moved to Vegas. And he had a stagehand that was helping in the show. And at one point, there was, unfortunately, a death in the stagehand's family, and he had to leave town for a week. And he said, hey, you've seen the show a bunch. Is there any way, if I let you do a spot in the show, could you help me out? And I was like, yeah, I could definitely help you out. So he said, well, because you're playing the part of a stagehand, kind of bringing stuff on and off, which is what the other guy did, maybe we can develop that. So together we sort of sat down. We went to a Walmart, bought a Dickies jumpsuit. We went to Home Depot, bought a Home Depot hat. And then slowly over time, the character sort of developed. I mean, Murray is very good with branding in terms of his blue suit, his hair, his glasses. He's all about branding and having a brand. So he was very helpful in terms of saying, when you do an interview, got to wear your Lefty hat. It's about the broom and the card. So the T-shirt I sell after the show is a caricature of me with my hat, with the broom, with the cards. So in terms of branding, he was very pivotal to that. And then over time, because we're friends off stage, we also developed our characters on stage. And it's interesting how now, anytime Murray puts a new bit in the show, it's a lot easier for us to develop how we're going to interact because we know what our characters are going to do. So if Murray's doing something on stage and someone goes to hand him something and it drops to the floor and I'm on stage, he's going to look at me and go, are you going to get that? And I'm like, okay, sir, I'll get that. Because we know what our characters are. Our characters are so well defined.
They're welded. They're melded together.
We react as our characters as opposed to going, what would I do in this situation? I think, what would Lefty do in this situation?
Yeah.
So it really is.
So Lefty never talks.
No. I mean, when we started the old act, I was part of the Gamesters. One of our goals was to travel the world.
Yes.
And we developed a 12-minute silent act.
Interesting.
So our goal was to travel the world, and we thought the best thing to do was if we did an act to music, we could do it anywhere. So we were in Asia, South America, Europe.
Appealing to everybody.
And going back to my Chaplin reference,
Wow.
if you watch a Chaplin film,
Yeah.
you don't have to understand English. And
To
he
get the
doesn't
humor.
speak to get the humor.
Well, we're going to show everybody a clip. We have a minute clip here that
Oh,
we're going to.
terrific. I can't wait.
We'll end this segment with that and take a commercial break, so do not go away. We're going to be back with Lefty. We're going to talk a little bit about the other side of Lefty, your dream warehouse, and all the other really groovy things you do. Quick shout out to my sponsor, Red Roof Intercroft from the Hard Rock. Stay tuned for this clip. You're going to really enjoy it, and you will get to see the other side of Douglas.
The other side of Lefty.
Join us again after this. We'll see you in about 5 minutes. Take care.